صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
The Book of Penalty for Hunting by a Muhrim and Similar Things. Chapter on the Penalty for Hunting by a Muhrim and Similar Things. And the statement of Allah: Kill not game while you are in the state of Ihram for Hajj or Umrah, pilgrimage. And whosoever of you kills it intentionally, the penalty is an offering brought to the Kaaba of an eatable animal, that is sheep, goat, cow, etc., brought to the Kaaba, equivalent to the one he killed, to the end of the verse. And fear Allah, to whom you shall be gathered back. Quran, chapter 5, verse 95 to 96. Chapter on if a non-Muslim hunts an animal and gives it a present to a muhrim, it is permissible for the latter to eat it. Ibn Abbas and Anas considered that there was no harm for a muhrim to slaughter animals which were not game, like camels, sheep, cows, hens, or horses. Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Qatada: My father set out for Mecca in the year of al-Hudaybiyah, and his companions assumed ihram, but he did not. At that time, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was informed that an enemy wanted to attack him. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, proceeded onwards. While my father was among his companions, some of them laughed among themselves. My father said, I looked up and saw an onager. I attacked, stabbed, and caught it. I then sought my companions' help, but they refused to help me. Later, we all ate its meat. We were afraid that we might be left behind, separated from the Prophet, peace be upon him. So I went in search of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and made my horse to run at a galloping speed at times, and let it go slow at an ordinary speed at other times, till I met a man from the tribe of Bani Ghifar at midnight. I asked him, Where did you leave the Prophet, peace be upon him? He replied, I left him at Adhaan, and he had the intention of having the midday rest at As-Suqiyah. I followed the traces and joined the Prophet, peace be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, your people, companions, send you their compliments and ask for Allah's blessings upon you. They are afraid lest they may be left behind, so please wait for them. I added, O Allah's Messenger, I hunted an onager, and some of its meat is with me. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told the people to eat it, though all of them were in the state of ihram. Footnote: regarding the statement, I looked up and saw an onager. They were laughing because they saw an onager and could not hunt it because they were in a state of ihram. Neither were they allowed to draw the attention of Abu Qatada, who was not a muhrim then. Footnote: regarding the statement, O Allah's Messenger, I hunted an onager, and some of its meat is with me. Perhaps Abu Qatada hurried to reach the Prophet, peace be upon him, so that he might ask him whether it was legal for the muhrimuns to eat from that game, since some of his companions had refused to eat. Chapter on if the muhrimun saw game and then laughed, and a non-muhrim understood why they laughed, then their laughing is not to be considered as an intentional sign to draw the non-muhrim's attention. Therefore, they are allowed to eat the game. Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Qatada that his father said, We proceeded with the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the year of al-Hudaybiyah, and his companions assumed ihram, but I did not. We were informed that some enemies were at Ghaiqa, and so we went on towards them. My companions saw an onager, and some of them started laughing among themselves. I looked and saw it. I chased it on my horse, and stabbed and caught it. I wanted some help from my companions, but they refused. I slaughtered it all alone. We all ate from it, that is, its meat. Then I followed Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, lest we should be left behind. At times, I urged my horse to run at a galloping speed, and at other times, at an ordinary slow speed. On the way, I met a man from the tribe of Bani Ghifar at midnight. I asked him where he had left Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him. The man replied that he had left the Prophet, peace be upon him, at a place called Adhaan, and he had the intention of having the midday rest at As-Suqiyah. So I followed Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, till I reached him and said, O Allah's Messenger, I have been sent by my companions, who send you their greetings and compliments and ask for Allah's mercy and blessings upon you. They were afraid lest the enemy might intervene between you and them. So please wait for them. So he did. Then I said, O Allah's Messenger, we have hunted an onager and have some of it, that is, its meat, left over. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, told his companions to eat the meat, although all of them were in a state of ihram. Chapter on a muhrim should not help a non-muhrim in the hunting of a game. Narrated Abu Qatada, may Allah be pleased with him. We were in the company of the Prophet, peace be upon him, at a place called al-Quha, which is at a distance of 3 stages of journey from Al-Madinah. Abu Qatada, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated through another group of narrators. We were in the company of the Prophet, peace be upon him, at a place called al-Quha, and some of us had assumed ihram while the others had not. I noticed that some of my companions were watching something, so I looked up and saw an onager. I rode my horse and took the spear and whip, but my whip fell down, and I asked them to pick it up for me, but they said, We will not help you by any means as we are in a state of ihram. So I picked up the whip myself and attacked the onager from behind a hillock and slaughtered it and brought it to my companions. Some of them said, Eat it, while some others said, Do not eat it. So I went to the Prophet, peace be upon him, who was ahead of us, and asked him about it. He replied, Eat it, as it is halal. That is, it is legal to eat it. Chapter on a muhrim should not point at a game with the intention that a non-muhrim may hunt it. Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Qatada that his father had told him that Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, set out for Hajj, and so did his companions. He sent a batch of his companions by another route, and Abu Qatada was one of them. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said to them, Proceed along the seashore till we meet all together. So they took the route of the seashore, and when they started, all of them assumed ihram except Abu Qatada. While they were proceeding on, his companions saw a group of onagers. Abu Qatada chased the onagers and attacked and wounded a she-onager. They got down and ate some of its meat, and said to each other, How do we eat the meat of the game while we are in state of ihram? So they carried the rest of the she-onager's meat, and when they met Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, they asked, saying, O Allah's Messenger, we assumed ihram with the exception of Abu Qatada, and we saw a group of onagers. Abu Qatada attacked them and wounded a she-onager from them. Then we got down and ate from its meat. Later, we said to each other, How do we eat the meat of the game and we are in a state of ihram? So we carried the rest of its meat. The Prophet, peace be upon him, asked, Did any one of you order Abu Qatada to attack it or point at it? We replied in the negative. He said, Then eat what is left of its meat. Chapter on if any person gave a living onager as a present to a muhrim, then he should not accept it. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, on the authority of As-Sarb bin Jathama al-Laythi, that the latter presented an onager to Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, while he was at Al-Abwa, or at Adhaan, and he refused to accept it. On noticing the signs of some unpleasant feeling of disappointment on his ashab's face, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to him, I have only returned it because I am muhrim. Chapter on what kind of animals can be killed by a muhrim. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah be pleased with them. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, It is not sinful on a muhrim to kill 5 kinds of animals: a crow, a kite, a scorpion, a mouse, and a rabbit dog. One of the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, narrated, The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, A muhrim can kill 5 kinds of animals. Narrated Hafsa, may Allah be pleased with her. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, It is not sinful on a non-muhrim or a muhrim to kill 5 kinds of animals, namely, a crow, a kite, a mouse, a scorpion, and a rabid dog. Narrated Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, 5 kinds of animals are harmful and could be killed in the haram, sanctuary. These are a crow, a kite, a scorpion, a mouse, and a rabid dog. Narrated Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, while we were in the company of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in a cave at Mina, when Suratul Mursalat was revealed, and he recited it, and I heard it directly from his mouth as soon as he recited it. Then suddenly a snake sprang at us, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered us, kill it. We ran to kill it, but it escaped quickly. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, it has escaped your evil, and you too have escaped its evil. Narrated Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, called a house lizard a bad animal, but I did not hear him ordering that it should be killed. See Hadith number 3306. Chapter on It is permissible to cut the trees of the Haram, the sanctuary of Mecca. Footnote: trees, naturally grown only, neither planted nor sowed by you. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, it's the harams, thorny bushes are not allowed to be cut off. Narrated Sa'id bin Abu Sa'id al-Maqburi, Abu Shuraih al-Adawi said that he had said to Amr bin Sa'id when he was sending the troops to Mecca to fight Abdullah bin Zubayr, O chief, allow me to tell you what Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said on the day following the conquest of Mecca. My ears heard, and my heart understood it thoroughly, and I saw with my own eyes the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he, after glorifying and praising Allah, said, Allah, not the people, made Mecca a sanctuary. So anybody who has belief in Allah and the last day should neither shed blood in it, nor should he cut down its trees. If anybody argues that fighting in it is permissible on the basis that Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, did fight in Mecca, say to him, Allah allowed his Messenger, peace be upon him, and did not allow you. The Prophet, peace be upon him, added, Allah allowed me only for a few hours on that day of the conquest, and today its sanctity is valid as it was before. So those who are present should inform those who are absent concerning this fact. Abu Shuraih was asked, what did Amr reply? He said, Amr said, O Abu Shuraih, I know better than you in this respect. Mecca does not give protection to a sinner, a murderer, or a thief. Chapter on the game in the Haram, sanctuary, should not be chased or disturbed. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Allah has made Mecca a sanctuary, so it was a sanctuary before me, and will continue to be a sanctuary after me. It was made legal for me, that is, I was allowed to fight in it, for a few hours of a day. It is not allowed to uproot its shrubs or to cut its trees, or to chase or disturb its game, or to pick up its luqatha, fallen things, except by a person who would announce that what he has found publicly. Al-Abbas said, O Allah's Messenger, except al-idkhir, a kind of grass, for it is used by our goldsmiths and for our graves. The Prophet, peace be upon him, then said, except al-idkhir. Ikrimah said, do you know what chasing or disturbing the game means? It means driving it out of the shade to occupy its place. Footnote: Atha and Mujahid disagree with Ikrimah, for they think it is permissible to dismiss the game unless that brings about its death. Chapter on fighting is prohibited in Mecca. Narrated Abu Shuraih that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, it is forbidden to shed blood in Mecca. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, on the day of the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, there is no more emigration from Mecca, but jihad and intentions. And whenever you are called for jihad, you should go immediately. No doubt, Allah has made this place, Mecca, a sanctuary since the creation of the heavens and the earth, and will remain a sanctuary till the day of resurrection, as Allah has ordained its sanctity. Fighting was not permissible in it for anyone before me, and even for me it was allowed only for a portion of a day. So it is a sanctuary with Allah's sanctity till the day of resurrection. Its thorns should not be uprooted, and its game should not be chased, and its luqata, fallen things, should not be picked up except by one who would announce that publicly, and its vegetation, grass, etc. should not be cut. Al-Abbas said, O Allah's Messenger, except al-idkhir, for it is used by their blacksmiths and for their domestic purposes. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, except al-idkhir. Footnote: regarding the statement, there is no more emigration from Mecca, but jihad and intentions means you must have intention to participate in jihad when there is call for it. Chapter on cupping, that is letting out of the blood medically, for a muhrim. Ibn Umar branded his son while he was in a state of ihram, and it is permissible for a muhrim to take medicine on condition that it does not contain any perfume. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, was cupped while he was in a state of ihram. Narrated Ibn Buhayna, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, while in the state of ihram, was cupped at the middle of his head at Lahy al-Jamal. Chapter on the marrying of a muhrim. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, married Maymuna while he was in the state of ihram. Only the ceremonies of marriage were held. Chapter on what is forbidden for a muhrim, male or female, as regards perfumes. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, a woman in the state of ihram should not wear clothes perfumed with wars or saffron. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah be pleased with them. A person stood up and asked, O Allah's Messenger, what clothes may be worn in the state of ihram? The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, do not wear a shirt or trousers, or any headgear, for example, a turban, or a hooded cloak, but if somebody has no shoes, he can wear leather stockings, provided they are cut short off the ankles, and also do not wear anything perfumed with wars or saffron. And the muhrima, a woman in the state of ihram, should not cover her face and should not wear gloves. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, a man was crushed to death by his she-camel and was brought to Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, who said, give him a bath and shroud him, but do not cover his head, and do not bring any perfume near to him, as he will be resurrected reciting Talbiyah. Chapter on the taking of a bath by a muhrim. And Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, said that a muhrim could enter a bathroom for a bath, and Ibn Umar and Aisha, may Allah be pleased with them, did not think that there was any harm in scratching the body. Narrated Abdullah bin Hunayn, Abdullah bin al-Abbas and al-Miswar bin Mukhrama deferred at al-Abwa. Ibn Abbas said that a muhrim could wash his head, while al-Miswar maintained that he should not do so. Abdullah bin Abbas sent me to Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, and I found him bathing between the two wooden posts of the well, and was screened with a sheet of cloth. I greeted him and he asked who I was. I replied, I am Abdullah bin Hunayn, and I have been sent to you by Ibn Abbas to ask you how Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, used to wash his head while in the state of ihram. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari caught hold of the sheet of cloth and lowered it till his head appeared before me, and then told somebody to pour water on his head. He poured water on his head, and he, Abu Ayyub, rubbed his head with his hands by bringing them from back to front and from front to back, and said, I saw the Prophet, peace be upon him, doing like this. Chapter on wearing of khuf, leather stockings, by a muhrim if slippers are not available, but one has to cut short the khuf below the ankles. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, I heard the Prophet, peace be upon him, delivering a khutbah, religious talk, at Arafat, saying, if a muhrim does not find slippers, he could wear khuf, but he has to cut short the khuf below the ankles. And if he does not find any idhar, a waist sheet for wrapping the lower half of the body, he could wear trousers. Narrated Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, was asked, what sort of clothes a muhrim should wear? He replied, he should not wear a shirt, turbans, trousers, a hooded cloak, or a dress perfumed with saffron or wars. And if slippers are not available, he can wear khuf, but he should cut them so that they reach below the ankles. Chapter on if an idhar is not available. 1. That is, a muhrim can wear trousers. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, delivered a khutbah, religious talk, at Arafat, and said, whoever does not get an idhar can wear trousers, and whoever cannot get a pair of shoes, slippers, can wear khuf. Chapter on carrying of arms by a muhrim. According to Ikrimah, one can carry arms if he fears the enemy, but the fidya, compulsory penalty, has to be paid. No religious scholar agrees with him on necessitating the fidya. Narrated Al-Bara, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, assumed ihram for Umrah in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, but the mushrikun, people of Mecca, refused to admit him into Mecca till he agreed on the condition that he would not bring into Mecca any arms but sheathed. Chapter on entering the Haram and Mecca without assuming ihram. And Ibn Umar entered without ihram, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered those intending to perform Hajj or Umrah to assume ihram, but he did not mention the woodcutters and the like, that is, those who frequent the sanctuary of Mecca. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the miqat, the place for assuming ihram, for the people of Al-Madinah, and Qarn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen. These mawaqid are for those people, and also for those who come through these mawaqid from places other than the above mentioned, with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And those living inside these mawaqid can assume ihram from the place where they start. Even the people of Mecca can assume ihram for Hajj only from Mecca. Narrated Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, entered Mecca in the year of its conquest, wearing an Arabian helmet on his head. And when the Prophet, peace be upon him, took it off, a person came and said, Ibn Khattal is holding the covering of the Kaaba, taking refuge in the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, kill him. Footnote: a muhrim is not allowed to cover his head. The fact that the Prophet's head was covered while entering Mecca indicates that he had entered Mecca as a non-muhrim. Footnote: Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, on conquering Mecca, forgave all the people of Mecca except some persons who had committed nasty crimes against Islam and Muslims. Chapter on if somebody ignorantly assumed ihram while wearing a shirt, while fidya was compulsory. Allah said, there is no penalty on a muhrim who perfumes himself or wears stitched clothes out of ignorance or forgetfulness. Narrated Ya'la, may Allah be pleased with him, while I was with Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, there came to him a man wearing a cloak having a trace of yellowish perfume, or a similar thing on it. Umar used to say to me, would you like to see the Prophet, peace be upon him, at the time when he is being inspired divinely? So it happened that he was inspired then. And when the revelation was over, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to that man, Do in your Umrah the same as you do in your Hajj. A man bit the hand of another man, but in that process, the latter broke one incisor tooth of the former, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, forgave the latter. Footnote: this piece of narration is a part of Hadith number 6892, Volume 9. Chapter on a muhrim died at Arafat, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, did not order anybody to finish the remaining ceremonies of Hajj on his behalf. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, while a man was standing with the Prophet, peace be upon him, at Arafat, he fell from his rahila, mount, and his neck was crushed by it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Wash the deceased with water and sidr, and shroud him in 2 pieces of cloth, and neither perfume him nor cover his head, for Allah will resurrect him on the day of resurrection, and he will be reciting talbiyah." Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, while a man was standing with the Prophet, peace be upon him, at Arafat, he fell from his rahila, mount, and his neck was crushed by it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Wash the deceased with water and sidr, and shroud him in 2 pieces of cloth, and neither perfume him nor cover his head, for Allah will resurrect him on the day of resurrection, and he will be reciting talbiyah." Chapter on the legal way of burying a dead muhrim. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them. A man was in the company of a Prophet, peace be upon him, and his she-camel crushed his neck while he was in a state of ihram, and he died. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, said, "Wash him with water and sidr, and shroud him in his 2 garments. Neither perfume him nor cover his head, for he will be resurrected on the day of resurrection, reciting talbiyah." Chapter on to perform Hajj on behalf of a dead person and to fulfill his vows. A man can perform Hajj on behalf of a woman. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, a woman from the tribe of Juhayna came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and said, "My mother had vowed to perform Hajj, but she died before performing it. May I perform Hajj on my mother's behalf?" The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "Perform Hajj on her behalf. Had there been a debt on your mother, would you have paid it or not? So pay Allah's debt, as He has more right to be paid." Chapter on performing Hajj for a person who cannot sit firmly on the mount. Narrated Fadl bin Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, a woman from the tribe of Khatha'am came in the year of Hajjatul Wada of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and said, "O Allah's Messenger, my father has come under Allah's obligation of performing Hajj, but he is very old man and cannot sit properly on his rahila, mount. Will the obligation be fulfilled if I perform Hajj on his behalf?" The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied in the affirmative. Chapter on performing Hajj by a woman on behalf of a man. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, Al-Fadl was riding behind the Prophet, peace be upon him, and a woman from the tribe of Khatha'am came up. Al-Fadl started looking at her, and she looked at him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, turned Al-Fadl's face to the other side. She said, "My father has come under Allah's obligation of performing Hajj, but he is a very old man and cannot sit properly on his rahila, mount. Shall I perform Hajj on his behalf?" The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied in the affirmative. That happened during Hajjatul Wada of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Chapter on the Hajj of boys, children, etc. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, sent me to Mina with the luggage from Jam, that is, Al-Muzdalifah, at night. Narrated Abdullah bin Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, I came riding on my she-ass and had just then attained the age of puberty. Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, was offering Salah at Mina. I passed in front of a part of the first row and then dismounted from it, and the animals started grazing. I aligned with the people behind Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him. The sub-narrator added, that happened in Mina during the Prophet's Hajjatul Wada. Narrated As-Saib ibn Yazid, may Allah be pleased with him. While in the company of my parents, I was made to perform Hajj with Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, and I was a 7-year-old boy then. Fath al-Bari, Volume 4, page 442. Narrated Al-Ju'aid bin Abdul Rahman. I heard Umar bin Abdul Aziz telling about As-Saib ibn Yazid that he had performed Hajj while carried with the belongings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Chapter on Hajj of Women. Narrated Ibrahim's grandfather that Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, in his last Hajj allowed the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to perform Hajj, and he sent with them Uthman bin Affan and Abdul Rahman bin Auf as escorts. Narrated Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, mother of the faithful believers. I said, O Allah's Messenger, shouldn't we participate in holy battles and jihad along with you? He replied, the best and the most superior jihad for women is Hajj Mabrur, which is accepted by Allah. Aisha added, ever since I heard that from Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, I have determined not to miss Hajj. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, a woman should not travel except with a dhi mahram, her husband or a man with whom that woman cannot marry at all, according to the Islamic jurisprudence. And no man may visit a woman except in the presence of dhi mahram. A man got up and said, O Allah's Messenger, I intend to go for jihad with such and such an army, and my wife wants to perform Hajj. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said to him, go along with her to Hajj. Narrated Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, returned after performing his Hajj, he asked Sinan al-Ansariya, what forbid you from performing Hajj? She replied, father of so-and-so, that is her husband, had 2 camels, and he performed Hajj on one of them, and the second is used for the irrigation of our land. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said to her, perform Umrah in the month of Ramadan, as it is equivalent to Hajj or performing Hajj with me, in reward. See Hadith 1782. Narrated Qaza'a, the slave of Ziyad. Abu Sa'id, who participated in 12 ghazwat with the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I heard 4 things from Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, or I narrate them from the Prophet, peace be upon him, which won my admiration and appreciation. They are, number 1, no lady should travel without her husband or without a dhi mahram for a 2 days journey. Number 2, no observance of Sawm, fasting, is permissible on 2 days of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Number 3, no Salah, prayer, may be offered after 2 Salah, after the Asr prayer till the sunset, and after the morning Salah, prayer till the sun rises. Number 4, not to travel for visiting except for 3 mosques, Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, my mosque at Al-Madinah, and Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. Chapter on whoever vowed to go on foot to the Kaaba. Narrated Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw an old man walking, supported by his 2 sons, and asked about him. The people informed him that he had vowed to go on foot to the Kaaba. He said, Allah is not in need of this old man's torturing himself, and ordered him to ride. Narrated Uqba bin Amir, may Allah be pleased with him, my sister vowed to go on foot to the Kaaba, and she asked me to take the verdict of the Prophet, peace be upon him, about it. So I did, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, said she should walk and also should ride.